Hey, what's up, everyone? This is David Greenspan, and you are listening to Season 3 of the Mindshare Podcast, a proud member of the Industry Syndicate Media Network. Additional podcasts are available at mindshare101.com and on all the major podcast platforms. This week's episode is sponsored by Kit's Keep in Touch Systems and the Buzz Conference. Make sure you connect with the Buzz Conference by visiting their website, www.thebuzzconference.com, and by following them on Instagram at The Buzz Conference to keep tabs on all the awesome events they host, along with getting the latest copy of the Buzz Digital Magazine. The Buzz Conference is a leading voice in our real estate industry. And Kit's Keep in Touch Systems offers a fully loaded cross-channel marketing suite for the real estate industry, including tools to help you manage your business, generate more leads and more referrals, and build that mindshare to drive even more sales. You can learn more on my site, mindshare101.com, by clicking on Marketing. And as you know, we are on a push to 100 reviews on iTunes, and so I would like to ask you, if you haven't yet, please take 2 minutes to go to iTunes, rate the show, leave a review. It really is that easy. And again, let me say thank you in advance. Today's episode is number 142. She is no neophyte to the world of branding. She's gone from helping launch Old Navy in Canada as a former leader to strengthening the L'Oreal brand and their position in the luxury skin and body care arena. After 4 years of exciting work, strategic victories, and nonstop travel from Toronto to New York, she switched gears and began to take on her own clients. But before she could put her fledgling business in sixth gear, she was headhunted by Apple and asked to oversee the Apple Store, managing multiple facets of the tech company's retail operations in Ontario while leading a team of 150. After 5 amazing years of constant adaptation and innovation at Apple, she once again set out on her own, this time launching M Industries, a business venture that would enhance brands' success via better content. Today, she uses everything she has learned in operations, branding, and marketing strategy to collaborate with agencies, consultants, and creatives to elevate her clients' businesses. Her philosophy is to embrace change, innovate intelligently, and move forward together. This week on the show, I am joined by brand and marketing strategist Sabaina Malik. Sabaina, welcome to the Mindshare Podcast.
Hi, David. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I am excellent. I'm pumped to have you here. And I'm telling you, I was shocked yesterday when you told me that you were in Italy. I'm like, this is awesome. We're back. We're like universal. Mindshare Podcast is spreading its wings right now. What are you doing in Rome?
I love that. Thank you for having me. So a little bit of downtime, but also working. So as you know, I own a marketing agency. We have clients all over the world, and Italy happens to be the number 2 spot after Canada for us in terms of work. So I am working as well.
Poor you. I know, that's awesome. That is so wicked. So, you and I had met a number of years ago with a mutual client that we were both working with at the time. I know you were doing some amazing branding stuff with them, and I was doing some other work with them. But that topic of branding and that topic of marketing, near and dear to both of our hearts. And that's why I'm really excited about this convo today. But it used to be that people would think a brand or think of a brand as a set of, colors, a logo. But I mean, we know that hasn't been the case for many years now. And a brand is like so much more than that. Right. We like to, say it's all about positioning yourself and occupying that tiny little space in somebody's mind for instant recollections that, every time they think of what you do, there's that little spot in their brain that gets triggered. And they think of you. And, in other words, we like to call that mindshare.
Mindshare.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. But I'm curious to know, how would you define a brand? What is a brand?
First, I want to say to you that your concept of mindshare stayed with me even after our brief meeting many years ago. And I've thought about it many times. And yeah, absolutely, because it's a brilliant concept, because it is about that is what it's about. Marketing is about mindshare. So I love that. And brand, it's a very interesting and dynamic conversation, I think, that we're going to have today, because the definition of brand and branding has changed so much in the last 5 years, 10 years, and it continues to evolve, which is very exciting for people like us. But I think it can be a challenge for our clients and for companies, because once again, in the last 2 years, everything has changed. And it's such a it can be a big seeming job to keep up with that. And that's where I think having these conversations is very important, because, even if you have one or two good takeaways and you can apply it to your business, amazing. Now, to answer your question, I believe that a brand is the story of your organization. It's the story of why it was built, how it was built, and it has to come together with the rest of the visual elements, the logo, the color, the font, the typography, the spacing, the photos, all of that. That's secondary. First, you have to understand who you are. What is your value proposition? What's the story of your company? And I believe that great brands are great storytellers. And you have to learn. People like me, why would you hire me? You'd hire me to help you put together the story of your brand and then express visually, which is what you do as well, in a different way, right? So a brand is at its core, it's why people choose you. It's why people see you, why they choose you over your competitors. It's such an important, it's the DNA of your organization. And if you don't get that right, you will never realize your full potential, right? So that's how I see it.
No, I love that. And I love what you brought up there. And it's interesting what you just said about your story. And oftentimes we've heard that before from people, you've got to be able to tell your story. You got to know what your story is. And I remember I had that years ago where I was, and I'll keep this one short, but the idea was I was doing a certain, I spoke at a certain conference and everything went really, really well. And in follow-up after the fact, and I got like great reviews on it, which was amazing, right? But in follow-up after the fact, I spoke to some folks that you look to, and you always want to look to people that are like, smarter than you or better than you, or maybe they know things. You want to learn, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. And I asked this one guy a question. I said, what's missing or what was missing or whatever? And he says, and this was a number of years back now, but he says, David, nobody knows your story. And Sabaina, I got to tell you, I racked my brain over that for so long. I couldn't figure out, like, what does that mean, my story? It's kind of one of these things that goes like, I didn't come from rags to riches. I haven't pulled a kitten out of a burning building. Like, well, what kind of story? But to what you just said is so powerful, because that's something that for me, we really picked up on quickly going, the story is really who you are and everything you just explained.
Yeah.
But that's how you build the brand. Right?
Right. And you don't have to have like a rags to riches story to build a great brand. Sometimes we rebrand companies that have been handed down for generations. So the person who's a CEO now didn't even build the company, but every company has a story, and the right marketers or the right brand people know how to mold that story. Or, I was saying yesterday to someone, we were having this conversation. Often a company already has a beautiful story. It doesn't need a complete rewrite. It needs one or two new chapters added to it. And that's what I call rebranding and repositioning for the new economy, for the new world, or whatever has to happen, right? So the story exists, whether you know it or not. It has to be extracted. Then we have to put it through our systems and our filters to figure out how we're going to express it visually, then through words, then through technology, then to social media. So all of that is your story. Your brand should be your story. Don't worry about the logo. No one cares about the logo anymore. Actually, we haven't, as marketers and brand people, we haven't focused on logo marketing for years now. So I find that people are so hung up on a logo and a website. That's not a brand. And people don't connect with that. So in my opinion, everything in the world is connected. Everything is connected. So us having this conversation, someone watching this, I'm in Rome. People from Rome are going to watch this because they know me. And then they're going to learn something from you. And then something's going to happen and someone's going to start a new business. Anyways, it all goes around in circles, and then we'll connect again somehow, right? So the world is connected. We are all connected. Brands have to be connected that way as well. And our job is to connect people to brands. So instead of you having to talk about your business all the time, or me having to talk about my client's business all the time, I want that other people talk to each other about the brands that we create. And that's how we build them. Make sense?
It makes complete sense. And I think everybody listening can fully understand why I was so excited to have you on the show today. Because again, this is like right up our alley when it comes to conversation. How long have you been in the branding game for? Just give people a little bit of background on that. I know it's been a while.
I would say it's 15 years. Yeah, I'm very young.
Yeah.
But it's been a while. 15 years. Yeah.
Listen, I've been doing what I'm doing for about 15 years, and I don't consider myself old either. So, it's all good. We're allowed to be young and do what we do. You know what I mean?
It's all good. So yeah, exactly. And before I had my own marketing agency, I worked for Apple, which is, it's like going to Harvard for business and branding and marketing and just strategy. Before that, I worked for L'Oreal. I worked on very exciting brands and projects. So my whole life, my entire career has been based in this.
I wanted to ask you about that because I was going to say, it's one thing to be in a particular field of work, but, let's look at it like this and say, Old Navy, L'Oreal, Apple, even looking at the Old Navy L'Oreal thing, because I think from what I understood from sort of your bio and your story, that came first. So again, it's one thing to say I'm in branding and marketing, but it's another thing to get hooked up with some major companies. Curious, how did you do that? Because I think that's one of those things, and we know this, that when companies are starting and people want to achieve certain things, they kind of look up this mountain and go, wow, I have no idea how I do that. And I would look at, again, companies like Old Navy and L'Oreal and go, they're up there on that mountain. So how did you get there when you sort of started from wherever you started from?
Yeah. I was 19 years old and in university. This is my story.
Yeah.
When I started working for Gap Incorporated. Gap Incorporated owns Old Navy. When I was 19, I was working just part-time because I was in university. And I thought, instead of asking my parents for money all the time, maybe I can make some of my own, because I've always been kind of independent and entrepreneurial. So anyways, of course, part-time job, right? And then I'm like, oh, there is so much opportunity in this accessory section. We're going to redo this. We're going to change this. So I'm doing all these things. I'm 19 and they're watching this and they're going, this girl, she only works here 15 hours a week. And look at all these goals she has for the stores and the company. So they pulled me aside and they're like, we want to have you on full time and we want to promote you and want to give you this. And I'm like, no, I'm in university. I'm not allowed to work. My mom's going to kill me. And they're like, no, you can still, we'll pay for your school. We'll whatever. And then at that time, Old Navy was coming into Canada and it was a very cool brand at the time. It's not so relevant anymore. And so I was asked to be one of the leaders to join that task force to work on bringing Old Navy into Canada, just because I was passionate and I was talented, I guess. And I cared. I cared more than other people. I wanted everything to be beautiful and perfect, right? So they wanted that ambition on that team. So I did that. I worked for Old Navy. I worked for Old Navy for maybe 3 years. And then I went to Banana Republic, which is their third division. So I did all the fashion divisions with Gap Inc. It was a very exciting career in fashion. And then I was recruited by L'Oreal, which was a whole other ball game, very high end, Paris, New York, hundreds of brands, the exposure that I had, the people that I met, my boss. I mean, she taught me so much. Even today, I think about her. She was the vice president of luxury division. And I was a young person, I was 23, 24, and she taught me so much. And the reason why I wear all black is that she taught me that. She said, look, if you don't have to spend a whole lot of time figuring out what your wardrobe for the day is going to be, you're going to save this much time and this much energy, and you're always going to look sleek and, da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, it makes sense. And it has kind of stayed with me. So L'Oreal was my introduction to luxury brands in my early 20s. And I learned how to build, market, and promote and sustain brands. And I worked on Kiehl in Toronto, which is a skincare brand. And guess what? Their philosophy at the time was that there was no PR and no marketing budget. It had to all be built organically from scratch, from the ground up. I did that. And I thought to myself, what have I signed up for? But you know what? It taught me all of the stuff that I know today. It made me an entrepreneur, and it taught me what real branding and what street level marketing and how you make relationships. And other people should tell the story of your brand more than you tell the story of your brand. That's when you're successful. And I teach this to my clients today. And I build brands that way. So they're actually so exciting that other people talk about them and promote them more than we have to. And then Apple happened. Sorry.
No. I was going to go there and ask you about Apple. Yeah.
And when they called, I was a recruiting firm, and I thought to myself, Apple. I have no tech background. Why would you want me? And they said, we're not looking for tech background. We're looking for like brilliant minds in leadership and retail and brand marketing, all of that. And I thought to myself, no, I declined. And they said, we're gonna leave this on the table because we don't think you're making the right decision. You should just come for the interview. And I thought, oh my gosh, I had a great job. I loved my job at L'Oreal. I loved it. I traveled the world. I built whatever I wanted. But there was something in me that said, okay, I think that they might be right. And why am I avoiding this? So met with them. And then I said again, oh, technology, and you wear blue t-shirts in the stores. Oh my God, who's going to dress like that? Like, no way. And I declined the offer.
We don't like the color of the t-shirts.
Second time. Yeah, I'm like, are you kidding? So when I go to the stores, I have to wear a t-shirt with the Apple logo. This is not going to happen. And they're like, we're gonna let you consider this offer for a week, and we know you belong with us, so we will be patient. Anyways, funny. I came to my senses. I went to work for Apple. It was the hardest I've ever worked in my life, other than owning my own company. But it taught me what brand excellence and what customer experience is, and creating those incredible customer experiences and product and innovation. That's where I learned that. It was like an incredible education in everything that I do today. I'm very grateful for these opportunities.
What's interesting that I picked up from that was that, you see, because what I was digging for was, where was the start? Where did this thing kick off? What did you do? Who did you talk to? Was it a wonderful resume with a beautiful cover letter? And in fact, what I really took away from this was you putting in effort, putting in passion, and really finding something that you care enough about to really say, hey, I just want to make this better. And then I would take all of that and almost, break that down and go, you want it to help. And in wanting to help, people realize the fact that you wanted to help. And then said, hold on a second, let's leverage her for more help. And then here we go into this whole world of wow, we find our niche. Now, the other thing that I really liked was
I've never applied for a job.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying, right?
Since I applied for my job when I was 19.
Just by working, right?
It's reputation. It's by reputation and building. Whenever I do something, I just put myself into it, and that's what I focus on. And that has allowed for things to blossom and be like amazing on their own. So instead of chasing something, I think it's important to be magnetic and be where you are fully and give all that you can. And then the opportunities show up. I believe that. So instead of chasing opportunities, chasing fame, looking for this and that, and how many social media followers we have and who knows me and who am I next to, that's never been my focus. And we get like in today's world, there's a lot of pressure to be a semi-celebrity for everybody. Mm-hmm. And, I think if you do great work and you build great relationships, you will automatically have that recognition because it can't help but happen, right? So I've lived my life that way. I'm sharing very openly with you. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's easier instead of chasing. And even when I build brands, like something that I really think about is, does it have longevity? Does it mean something? I like to attach a cause to a brand as often as we can because it makes sense. It has to mean more than just making money, because you're going to make money. That you don't rebrand your company or you don't hire a marketing agency to make less money. We're going to make you more money, but can we make it meaningful as well? Right? So that's exciting.
You're good, eh? You're really good. I like it. The other thing that I really liked was the whole thing about the black, because my wife always says I've got a very boring wardrobe because it's always black. But I'm going to say that. I'm going to say, honey, it's meant to be style. It's meant to be like, it takes less time to have to chew. I'm going to use that. Okay.
Tell her that.
Yeah. But I was going to say, because I know the story when you mentioned about the travel from New York to Toronto and back and everything else. And I was about to say, I guess the allure of travel wore off, but here you are in Italy traveling all the time for work. So all that being said, though, you did switch gears and go away from that corporate working, let's say, for these big companies, helping them build them, to starting M Industries. and going after your own clients. What led to that? Like, what was the decision to go, okay, I got this really great job with this really big companies and they have a lot of love for what I do for them, but I'm going to leave. I'm going to go do my own thing. Why?
Mm-hmm. So there were two reasons. One, I felt that at the point that I had been working for Apple for 5 years, I had done a lot and I had reached that point of saturation where I didn't feel that I had anything to prove. And I didn't want to move to Cupertino, because that's where the next opportunities would be or could be, right? So that was not a goal of mine. Plus, I have a daughter. So I wanted to have, she was young at the time, and I wanted to have more flexibility to be able to not miss her childhood, because my career has been very demanding, and it requires travel and working until the job is done or the goal is accomplished, right? So it wasn't like I had a 9-to-5 job. I did it. So when you get to do these great things, you work until you're successful or the project is done. So I had reached this point in my life where my priorities shifted, and also I felt that I had reached that point in the corporate world where I had done everything that I think I wanted to do. I wasn't really interested in anything else. And then who was I going to go work for after Apple? Think about it. There was I couldn't think of anything really. And I have always been an entrepreneur, and I wanted to just get into that. So everyone said to me, "Oh, you're crazy. Like, why would you leave Apple? You have the best job, and the security, this and that." And I had all of that, and it was great. I loved the company. I loved my time there. But personally, I had come to that point where it was time to do things by myself, with my team, my way. And I saw actually a niche, like a gap in the market, I would say, where I felt that there was room for a new type of marketing agency, one that thinks about the client first. So, I've been around agencies, hired agencies, and to work on brands that I was working on. No disrespect, but agencies have their own agenda for the most part, marketing agencies. And I thought to myself, you know what? This can be done a little bit better, and this can be done with a greater customer focus. And and so I'm a little bit fearless. So I thought, we're just going to do this. What I'm going to do. And it's not like I wrote a business plan or I thought, how am I going to do this? And who are my networks and who's going to be my first client? My reputation, helped me just attract my first few clients. And my business is really based on referrals, a lot of referrals, because I look after our customers. My team is very customer focused, and we are all about the relationship and doing great work. So that's how it all happened. And I've never looked back. It's been an amazing time.
That is, it's very exciting to hear, and it's an exciting journey. And I love the positioning there on the transition of, this wasn't some big arduous business plan. This was more about, the reputation preceded you. It was there already from all the good that you've done in the past. Yeah. And this is what led it. So, when we talk about what you do for your clients and how much they really appreciate the work that you're doing, who is your client? Like, what business are they in? And what is, the daily focus with these people then?
So I didn't set out for my company to have a particular set of industries or verticals. I was open. And so what happened was that one of my first clients was a very well-known real estate agency in Oakville. Mm-hmm. And that project was a grand smashing success. So
I think that's where we met originally, was on that job, right?
Future success. That's right.
That's where you and I, right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's
yep.
right.
Yep.
So that's right. And so once I did that and I launched that brand, and the impact that it had in the industry and the success that they had, it just kind of snowballed from there. So referral after referral after referral. And again, it's just about reputation and work. So we do a lot of work in Canada in the real estate industry. And then other clients that we have are hotels, resorts, fashion brands. We've worked with personalities. We've worked with all different verticals, consumer products, travel. So we work in all industries, but I think that in Canada, our greatest market is the real estate market.
And so looking at that then, I mean, we all wear many hats. Yes, I happen to be only wearing one at this particular moment, but in the hypothetical sense of, right, we all do wear many hats, and there's a lot to do in a day. And it sounds like you've got, so many awesome things happening. How do you manage that all? Like this, does this come down to some very rigid time management in terms of just achieving everything that needs to get done in a day?
So I would say that I'm blessed with the best support. I have an incredible creative director, have an incredible support team, my writers, the account executives on the team. I think what I see that's missing in the world a lot for people and why they're so stressed out is they don't know how to build loyalty. And because I worked for big brands and I had large teams, 150 people, 400 people, 250 people, 50 people, managing that velocity of personnel and their careers and coaching them for success and, making sure they were happy and doing meaningful work. I learned that in my 20s. And I'm a people person. I care about people very much. So I've been able to attract incredible people and keep and retain incredible talent. Without that, you cannot have a great company. So do I work a lot of hours? Absolutely, I do. And so do you, and so do our clients. But what it really comes down to is having the right people supporting you, because I can't be doing everything. I don't have every single talent under the sun. I have my role in my company, and then my people have their role in the company, and together we do great work. It's really not all about me. And I think the way that I keep it together is I stay very connected with my staff, with my team, and I'm very connected with my clients as well. And that allows me to have my fingers on the pulse of what's going on all the time. So I'm very, very committed. If I take something on, I'm very committed. So I know what's going on in my clients' businesses beyond brand and marketing, like the whole scope of things, very well. So I know what to expect, what I can do for the future. And if you have that, and you can kind of have that vision before others, it's very helpful in setting them up for success. So then if it takes 8 hours or 12 hours, who cares? Because you're doing great work, right? So I am very disciplined and organized. I get up early, all of that. And I work a lot, but I also have a great life, and I get to travel and I get to play, and, I can count on my team. So there is that balance. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to glorify the whole, you have to work all the time to be successful. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do in the beginning, right? And then if you do the right things, then there is a freedom that comes in time, unless you want to be a workaholic, which I don't. So I work a lot, but it's with passion and desire. It's not because I have to or I'm made to. It's just I love what I do. Yeah. And then I also do this. I come to Rome for many weeks and be here and work from rooftops and whatever, right? So the freedom that my business has afforded me has been incredible, and I'm so grateful for it.
That is so cool. That is very, very cool. And you know what? It's there's always that fine balance between life and business. And it's funny because where you are right now, being in Italy and understanding the Italian culture, it's a lot more about, everybody takes a break at like 2:00 in the afternoon, right? Everything stops and everybody has lunch and then they go for a nap and then, whatever. Mm-hmm. And there's a very big mentality around, enjoyment of life prior to work. Whereas here in North America, we are like work. And family, right? And then, here we're always pushing work. And then, as you said, like not glorifying the overwork that some do. And I mean, even from our perspective, we do talk about the hustle. However, I'm very, very careful to make sure that everybody understands, I've got a very simple motto, and I don't know that it's a motto that I read on the wall, but it's this thing that's, instead of work hard, play hard, it's play hard, work hard. You've got to have fun. You've got to enjoy life. If you've got a family, and you've got a daughter, and I've got 2 kids, and anybody else that has kids, and a significant other, and there's got to be a puppy. Like there's got to be those times where you just sit back and you enjoy it, because that's why we're doing it. And now you got to figure out, how do I take the rest of that time, build it in, and leverage that to do what I love doing that's on the other side of the world, which is business, right? And if you can find a love on both sides of things.
Yes, it's ideal. It's ideal. And I don't want that life goes by and I look back and go, what did I do? Oh, I worked. That's not what I want.
Right.
And for me, in terms of branding and developing brands, I also need to have the time to be inspired and to do research and to read and to look around. And that's why I love coming to Italy, because there's endless amounts of art and culture and inspiration that, allows me to create from a place of newness and innovation and beauty. And I'm not building cookie cutter brands as a result, because I have to expand my vision continuously. So I can't just sit at my desk and work. I won't be able to create anything, So there is that balance that's required, because building a brand that's going to fit an organization and allow them to grow and allow them to step into their imagined future is not an easy job. It sounds very sexy and glamorous, and branding and brand has become a buzzword lately, but it's actually very serious business. It's mathematics and art put together. And it's my reputation on the line when I'm doing that, because we can't mess it up. Imagine someone spent 30 years building this beautiful business, and then they hire us to rebrand it. We have to give it all of our thought, all of our insights, all of our research and strategy before we get into the creative part, right? So there's a lot more involved in branding than I think the topical understanding that a lot of people have, like, oh, what's my logo going to be? Do you know what color our company should be? No, actually, I don't. And I won't know until we do the research and fact finding and understand and assess what the market needs.
Okay.
So yeah, life is like a circle.
Okay. So we're looking at, I love it. So we're looking at, let's say, the audience that we've got tuned in today. And we're looking at one of your big audiences here in Canada. And we're looking, saying, okay. Realtors. I'm a realtor, and there's got to be a starting point. I want to brand my business, or I want to elevate my existing brand image. I was going to say, what do I need to know and what do I need to do first? And that's kind of the question. I feel like you've shared a lot of that already, but maybe if we expand on that just a touch and say, I am a realtor. I'm either at a starting point right now going, Sabaina, I want to build my brand, or I'm kind of going, I've been in the game for a few years and I'm looking to go to that next level. Yeah. What would I need to do to elevate my brand? Where would I start?
So it's a great question, because we work with clients at several different levels. So some of the largest real estate agencies in Canada are our clients. Then we have clients who are like 5 years in, 10 years in. Then we have very ambitious clients at like year 2 who know that if they invest in their brand and marketing from the beginning, their results are going to be incredible. So my advice is, here's what not to do first. Let's talk about that, because this is a big problem in the real estate industry.
Okay. Tell me about sorry. Tell me about the misconceptions as well as you do that then, because there's a lot of misconceptions, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Go for it.
Totally. So I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to lead you to the solution. So what I see as the biggest opportunity in the real estate industry is that I don't know where this mentality came from or who taught this to real estate agents, but it was taught, because it's like a industry a specialty where they do this thing that I call a spray and pray campaign, where there's no real thought or effort put into thinking about their brand or marketing. And they're like, okay, what if we run a Facebook ad? What if we run 10 Facebook ads? What if we do a little bit of Instagram marketing? What if we take a billboard here? Let's get 2 bus shelters. And there's no rhyme or reason or methodology to any of it, and they throw money at things randomly and they hope that something will have results. And it's not even a campaign. It's not even really thought out. 1 month they're on a bus, 1 month they're on a billboard, another month they're doing nothing. So it's rampant in the real estate industry, and this is something that I wish that they would stop, because you may as well flush your money down the toilet, because you and I both know that this spray and pray campaigning and marketing has 0 results.
That's why we exist in this industry, isn't it?
No brand recall with the marketplace. Yes. And I really, sometimes I feel like I have to save the realtor from themselves, because it's this learned behavior that they're like, no, well, so-and-so is doing it and so-and-so did that. And, I think they made some money. It doesn't work like that. So if you want to elevate your brand, or if you want to build something that's going to have results or impact over time, you have to do, you have to go with like a foundational all-in approach. So, everything that a consumer is going to interact with when it comes to your company has to make sense, and it has to be together. It has to tell a story. So you can't have one headshot, that's on your website and you look one particular way, and then, the rest of your marketing has other pictures, or maybe perhaps you have like 3 different company names. I've seen that. The brokerage is one name, and then the agent is being marketed separately. There's just a lot of, what would I say? There's a lack of continuity in real estate marketing, and there is no strategy. So even if you're not looking to brand yourself fully, or you don't have the budget to rebrand yourself fully, you can hire someone for a few hours to create a marketing strategy or plan for yourself, so that it makes sense and it will have some impact and recall with the markets that you're going out to. And I think that we're in that time where it's easier to reach people, right? But in order to reach people, you have to understand them first. So if you don't understand them and you think you're reaching them by doing the spray and pray campaigning, you're wasting money. So if you're new in the industry, I would say that, go out and get yourself dirty, do some deals, spend a year or 2 figuring out how real estate is done. By year 5 or even year 3 today, you have to start developing a brand identity for yourself, and becoming known for something. You have to specialize in something. Your value proposition needs to be clear in your branding and marketing, or you're going to just work really hard. Here's the thing. You can go door knocking, right? And you can try and make clients happen, but you only have so many hours in a day, and you only have so many energy that allows you to do that. You can run a simple digital campaign and reach 5-10 times more people by having a good ad campaign, or a good brand, or a good website, or having all of that together will really help you. And it doesn't have to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's just about having some thought and having a process and understanding who you are as a business and what you should be promoting, right? So I meet a lot of real estate agents who want to develop a brand, but they don't understand what that is. It's way more than your logo and your headshot and, how you appear in those photos. It's that story. It's that value proposition. It's that, how are you going to speak to people? What will they experience? What will they feel? I feel like every time a real estate coach goes like on a rampage about a topic, all real estate agents go out and do that. So some time ago, it was video marketing. Great.
You know what? Sorry, hold on. I'll tell you, being a real estate coach and being a guy that stands on the stage, I say exactly, I'm like, listen, you're going to stand here, you're going to hear me say stuff right now. Do not go running to go buy stuff. I want you to internalize what's being said here for a second, right? Yeah. Really? So it's funny you say that.
Thank you.
It's true, though.
So people will come to us and say, I don't understand how this happens. So some people will go to real estate agents will go to a conference, and they'll leave there with their notes, of course. And I think it's lovely that they're such great students and they want to follow whatever was said. But you have to think about what is going to work for your company and what's not going to work for you. Are you at that place right now where you should be doing that and it will have impact? Have a conversation with someone like you or me or anyone who understands how this works. Let us tell you what will be the best thing for you to pursue. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's
100%.
so lacking in the industry. It hurts my heart. It hurts my heart because people spend so much time and effort building something because someone told them that it was going to work, but it's not true for them, or it's an incomplete picture. It's a moment in time snapshot. So brands are not developed that way. It's not a 1 minute, 1 week thing. It's a commitment. And I always say this: branding is not. It's not a campaign. It's a commitment. It's a long-term thing. If we brand you and you're branded properly, you never have to change that ever again. You just have to change your marketing campaigns. So understanding brand and branding is very important. And it's your reputation, right? So it introduces you before they ever meet you. And it should do that work, heavy lifting for you. And I also think that because the market is so saturated in the GTA for real estate agents, if you're not a brand, you're a simple commodity. You're a service provider. And then what happens? price. It's all about commission, right? So if you're not a brand and you haven't communicated your value properly, what do I care about? What are you going to charge me? That's all that matters, right? So real estate agents have to think about that. Do you want to compete on commission and have a smaller paycheck? Or do you want to make the investment in your company and understand what your value proposition should be and how it should be communicated so people get it? And they're not going to sit there and be like, well, we're going to pay that guy 5% because we can see that that's a real deal real estate agency, but you're kind of like on this level, so we can haggle with you. You choose what kind of career you want to have, right?
I love what you're sharing here. This is such a message that flows so like synergistically with everything we do with Mindshare. We really try to bring that logical approach. And that's why I've always said, we're helping everybody bridge the gap between the old school and the new school, because there's got to be a fine balance between that. You brought up the door knock versus the Facebook ad. And I'd say the two can work harmoniously within each other if done properly, and not leveraging the spray and pray, and not just going, oh my God, David said, so I'm going to go do it. No. You need to internalize what we're saying. And what you also really hit home, which I love, you need to know who you're talking to. Like, who is your audience? Who are these people? And that's going to help you shape your brand. It's going to help you shape your message. It's going to help you shape everything you do is going to come back to that. Right. And I mean,
it's going to save you money. It's going to save you heartache. Right? It's going to save you disappointment. It's going to save you nights up trying to figure out why it's not working. And, the vacation that you could have taken with your family that you didn't take, or you took and you were unhappy because your business is not doing what it should be doing. So I think going within and then understanding, what's happening or what your business is very important. And you have to understand the consumer beyond just the market demographics and buying trends and all the fancy stuff that most marketing companies want to sell you on. It's way deeper than that. And you have to really commit to getting that. The companies who are really good at marketing and branding understand their markets very well. They know who their consumer is. They know how to reach them. And you have to reach them on a deeper level today.
It's delivering the right message to the right audience, even across the right channel. And so to that, I would ask you, you've just labeled off some of the misconceptions around logos and branding and just listening. Some of the big mistakes are the spray and pray that we talked about. We talk about a daily focus. It's got to be about, delivering that message and again, leveraging it for the right audience. And so what channels do you typically instruct clients to be using when it comes to building the brand out there? Because we've got, Sabaina, we've got this world right now, and we know this well from 15, 16 years ago, starting our businesses. Mr. Zuckerberg did not exist at the time. I mean, he was just getting started, let's call it. So there wasn't that whole social media game, but over the past decade and a half, we've seen that grow exponentially, which now makes people believe that some of the more traditional ways of doing things, making a phone call, sending a piece of mail, that they don't work. And now we should put all of our eggs into the social media basket and online lead generation basket.
That's not true.
Thank you. What channels are you suggesting, or is this more of a cross-channel approach?
So I'm going to tell you what works for real estate. Okay. And I've done this successfully for some of the best companies in Canada for real estate. And they were highly successful. And then they became even more successful. So, it works. So number one, you need to establish who you are, your brand. If you have a foundation, right, and you have a succinct brand that people can understand, then this is what you need to do. You need to do some social media marketing. Absolutely. Facebook and Instagram, I believe, are the best channels for real estate agents. Yep. You don't need to be on Twitter. You're not a news outlet. Like you're not CNN.
Agreed.
And LinkedIn is not a conversation about listings. So unless you're a thought leader in real estate and you're having high level conversations, LinkedIn is not your platform as well. So for younger realtors, I think integrating Instagram and TikTok works really well also, but it's hard to do. You need to have marketing people helping you with that. So for the average realtor, Facebook and Instagram, when it comes to social media, key. Then I do believe that environmental marketing works very well for real estate companies. Why? Because the industry has trained the market to buy real estate agents through environmental signage. What do I mean by that? Billboard campaigns, bus shelter campaigns. It doesn't work for all companies. It works for some companies. And the art and the creative and the messaging has to be amazing in order for it to work. So I'll tell you a quick little story just to understand what I'm talking about. So we have a beautiful real estate client in Hamilton, and they're called Team Rod Frank. We just rebranded them. And the hashtag that we came up with, because his name is Rod Frank, it's a big team, was Let's Be Frank. So we did a whole campaign, environmental campaign, around Let's Be Frank. So it started with Be Frank, and then there was like a truth about the real estate industry. So we did bus shelters, we did billboards. It has been one of the most successful campaigns we've ever done because it's so cheeky and it's so interesting and it just works, right? So it has to be clever in order for it to stick, in order for people to go, oh, what's that? Who's that? Right? So again, everything that I'm saying, don't run out and just start doing it. Think if it's going to work for you or not. Print, I do think that your stationery, if you're a beautifully branded company and your stationery is beautiful, you should be writing cards and there should be like thick stock, beautiful cards. And you should be sending handwritten notes to people, your salespeople. You've got to stay in touch, have beautiful envelopes, write them properly, have a seal, all of that. Surprise and delight. Allow people to understand that, nice gestures like that still exist in the world. And do call people. Why not? I mean, again, it's all about connecting, right? Like what I said earlier, we build connected brands. So it allows you to have these interactions. We know in marketing, it takes up to 8 touch points with a company for it to even exist, to have mind share, right?
I like that. I got to use that one.
Yeah, you have to create these. You have to create these touch points mindfully, and they have to mean something, right? So let's say in a small market like Hamilton or Oakville, if a client or a prospect, they see beautiful billboards that have great messaging and they're interesting and intriguing, they go to your website. They see a bus shelter. They're like, oh, I saw this ad, this kind of ad. It must be the same company. Then something comes in their mail that is that same, brand. They're much more inclined to open it to see because they're curious. They're already interested versus those same letters in the white envelopes that we all get. I have a buyer for your house. You mean
those don't work so well,
right? I don't think they work so well because they've been going into the garbage for a long time. So it's just about thinking things through. Well, if you were the consumer, put yourself, like realtors sometimes forget that they're dealing with people who are not realtors. Mm-hmm. How do you want to be spoken to? How do you want to be introduced? How do you want to be romanced? Don't ask them to marry you before you go on a date with them, And real estate companies make this mistake all the time. Go ahead.
Content strategy then. So just talking to what you just said about the romance and about the messaging. And I know that, just through, again, understanding what you guys are up to, you really strongly believe in a content strategy, as do I, because I believe that it's part of, back to what we said earlier on in the conversation, this is part of sharing your story with people. This is part of getting people to know who you are.
That's right.
But when it comes to a content strategy, we do a couple of things. One, we think we're not interesting. 2, we're scared to share because, what are people going to think? 3, we say that we have no time to do it. Or 4, we say we have no time, so I'm going to go hire somebody else to do it for me. But they're hiring a company that hasn't done the due diligence to really figure out who they are, what the background is. Instead, they've hired a company to just go run some ads or put out some social media posts that have very little relevance to who you even are as a business or who your clients are in terms of maybe who want to do business with you. So in terms of content strategy, how important is that, Sabaina?
Content is very important. It's everything. We've got people on my team just writing content. You're not real or relevant without content marketing today and having relevant content. So you have to understand something, or we all have to understand something. The consumer today speaks social. If you don't speak social as a company, you do not exist in their world. I don't know how to be more clear about that. So if you don't have a content strategy and you're not marketing on social media, you're not sending out an electronic newsletter or emails or anything like that, you don't exist in their world. And if you put up a billboard or you think that your for sale sign on someone's lawn is going to do your marketing, you're going to have to think again because it's
I love it.
And people People don't have that, attention span anymore. We're bombarded by marketing messages all day long, right? So if you want to be a player in the game, here's the thing: you have to separate the person from the business. You have to, because if you don't do that and you don't start treating your business like its own entity, you will never grow. Your content and your marketing will never grow. Your brand will never have impact because you are not your business. You are a part of your business, right? So when we separate ourselves from our businesses, your ego identity shouldn't be so tied in with your business that you're not allowing it to grow because you're afraid of judgment or how you're going to come across, or I have nothing nice to say. I encounter this all the time. You know what I tell my clients? Part of working with us, you're going to have to get over yourself.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so here, when it comes to working with you guys, and I think I've already got my answer on this from how you guys help based on the team and the support mechanisms you got around you with the people there. But do you help with marketing execution? Do you help with content development? Do you focus more strategically on the overall image? What does execution look like from M Industries when a client takes on your services?
Okay, great question. So we're hired for two things: branding and marketing. Our ideal client hires us for branding first, because we know that when we've branded you properly, all of your marketing output is going to be successful and have greater results, right? So that's our ideal scenario, that we brand you first and then we go into marketing your company. Sometimes companies come to us who have like a brand that's developed and that's marketable, and then we'll take them on and then we create a marketing plan for them. So that includes everything. It's environment, it's print, it's social, it's video, it's everything, depending on the need and what market they're in and what is it that is going to work. So execution looks like, usually if we're branding you, it's a 90-day process for a major company. So we brand you first, we launch your new brand, we put it out in the world. So your new website, your new social, your new everything, your collateral, your signage changes, your the paper that you use, everything changes. So all of that happens, and then immediately we start your new marketing. Or a company comes to us and they're pretty well positioned when it comes to brand, and they need us to build their marketing. We do that. We create that and we execute that for them.
Cool. So realtors can get in touch with you for that. Now, the expectation of working with you guys, I know that, and you brought this up earlier, and it's something that I read, and as I went through extensively through your website, I picked up on, I picked up on a commonality, which I thought was very special. And you said this off the top, and I didn't really acknowledge it because I thought I'm going to bring this up in a little bit as we kind of get into that thing of like, what's it like to work with you guys? But one thing I noticed, and what's important, and I encourage everybody tuned in, as you've got interest in learning more about Sabaina and working with her and finding what she can do for you, as you go through the testimonials, a lot of them talk to the fact that you and your team have become a partner more than simply an agency. And you said that, a little bit ago, where we're not just your typical agency. And I got to say again, like the testimonials rang true to that. It just seemed like everybody was going like, it's not like, I remember there was one definitely that said something like, it's not like working with your typical agency. She really becomes a partner within your business. I guess that's obviously what clients can expect, is that real hands-on approach, that real like care and passion.
That's my goal. That was my goal when I started this company, and it has never changed. No matter how big we get or how many people work for us or how many clients we have, we work with some significant heavy hitters. And then new companies and everything in between. It's irrelevant. We give the same level of service and knowledge and experience and partnership to all of our clients. And I'm selective with who we will bring on because it has to be a fit both ways. And you have to be ready to receive what we're going to bring to you because it's going to be life-changing, right? So you have to be ready to morph into that. Your organizational culture will be impacted. There's more that's expected of you when you elevate your brand, right? If you think about all of that. But we truly immerse ourselves in your company. That's how we're able to do great work. And we're partners at the table. Our clients call us and ask us for things way beyond the scope of our project, and we help them every single time. So that's just the way it is. That's how I intended for it to be. And it'll always be like that.
I love it. The word help. So let me ask you this then. How do you know it's been a successful day for you?
Well, if we've, put out some fires for our clients, clarified confusion around marketing budgets, and every week we're usually working on either a new brand that's about to launch or a brand that has launched, and it's having great impact, and we're getting great feedback. Literally, my phone starts to blow up. Is this your work? I'm seeing it, because it's environmental, or it's online everywhere. So love it. When can I have a conversation with you? Recently, we launched Rena Rijo in Oakville, and her brand is red. It's stunning. It's eye-catching. I've never had more messages about a rebrand than I have for her in recent years. And so, the work kind of speaks for itself. And I don't really do a lot of marketing for my own company. It's very organic, and it's very relationship based. And like, I do this kind of thing because I love having this conversation. And we have a lot of referrals. So I know it's been a good day if we've added value, if we've enriched the lives of our clients and their customers in some way, right? And if we've solved some problems for our clients. You know what? Branding, the right design solves a lot of problems, and people don't think about that, but it solves a lot of problems in the world and for businesses. So I know when we're doing that, and I'm happy to say most days we're accomplishing that. So it feels good. It feels good.
It's if I take everything you just said about that to that answer, I would break it down to 4 letters, and they would be HELP. It's helping other people achieve what they're looking for. And I think that again, once again, and I think we're batting 100 here, batting 1,000 and my audience listening, you know what I'm talking about. That is that is a common question we ask every single show, Sabaina. I know I didn't prep you for that one, but I do that because when you look at successful entrepreneurs and you look at successful people in whatever walk of life they're in business, and you ask that question of, how do you know it's been a good day? No matter how it comes out, it always comes back to the fact that we've helped somebody else. And I may sound like a broken record to a lot of people because I ask that question every show and I kind of say this part of it every show. It's important, though, to continue to repeat that, because one of the things that I'm trying to drive home here to everybody tuned in is the more we get out there and help people, and it's reciprocity. It's exactly that. You help others, and somewhere you can't go helping others, to be helped. But if you consistently get out there genuinely and authentically and do it regularly, you will be helped. People will help you too. So you've got to be thinking about how to help others. So as we tail off here, what last words or tips can you share for everybody that's tuned in to help themselves get out there and build more mind share? Just a few last words, and you've shared some wonderful stuff for us.
Yeah. I think that the most important thing that everyone has to remember is that your business deserves a chance to realize its full potential. And if you don't get out of your way and allow it to have that opportunity, you're going to regret that in the future. So the sooner that you can allow that to happen in your business, the better off you are, and the better you'll sleep at night, and you'll be more successful, more impactful, and you'll be able to help more people. So, let it be something beyond yourself and greater than yourself, and let it have its own life, and you'll be happy.
I love that. We've got some folks asking where they can connect with you, website, contact info, and of course, we'd like to know where can everybody go to learn more.
So they can email me, or my website is UNM, YOUAND, the letter M, so UNM.co. There's my contact information everywhere there. Connect with me on Instagram. I have a great community there. I also post about my work and my clients there. Sabaina Malik or M Industries, and you'll find me. And I'd love to chat with anybody who's here tonight.
I encourage everybody check out Sabaina. Go to the website, UNM.co, for your branding and marketing specialties. They do a wonderful, wonderful job. I, first and foremost, know many of the folks that she's worked with, and I know that there's just a tremendous following for what you're doing. And I have thoroughly enjoyed today's conversation. Marketing, branding, again, near and dear to my heart.
Me too.
Very much around that thing around building the mind share. You certainly, though, you've delivered a wonderful message and helped everybody really get out there and elevate their own brand. So I thank you very much for visiting us today, all the way from Rome, Italy. Seriously, thank you very much, Sabaina.
You have an amazing energy. I love talking to you, and we'll talk again, I'm sure.
You better believe it. Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your time there in Rome.
Thank you.
You're either listening to this on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or Spotify. Or maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com. And while you're on my site, make sure to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle for Realtors. This is a 31-page ebook packed with a ton of tips and tricks for you. Plus, there's a ready-to-go 90-day social media content counter to help you build more mind share so that you can get more market share. And if you want to talk about personalized one-to-one coaching to help you get to your next level, just get in touch with me. We'll set up a free consultation call to learn more about what you're looking to achieve and, how I will help you do just that. Also, don't forget that our push to 100 is on, so be sure to please go to iTunes, subscribe to the show, rate us, and leave a review. And of course, if you haven't yet, connect with me on Facebook at Mindshare101 and on Instagram at David Greenspan101. I want to once again thank Virginia Munden and the Buzz Conference for sponsoring today's episode. Make sure you connect with the Buzz Conference by visiting their website, www.thebuzzconference.com, and by following them on Instagram at The Buzz Conference to keep tabs on all the awesome events they are always hosting, along with getting the latest copy of the Buzz Digital Magazine. I also want to thank Kids Keep in Touch Systems for sponsoring today's episode. If you haven't checked us out yet, just go to my site, mindshare101.com, and click on Marketing. This has been another episode of the Mindshare Podcast. Thank you for tuning in.